Morning, everybody. I hope you all had breakfast, so I don't have to take it home. But it's, as Robin said, it's really good to see real human beings. I'd almost forgotten how to hand out business cards. Some of the people I met was wondering, I'm fumbling. It wasn't the alcohol. It was just not having done it for so long. But we are so happy to have more or less a full house today. We obviously welcome the online audience, and we are really happy to have you all here today. The team has worked quite hard to put it together. As you can see, we have our colleagues in from our London office, and they will play a more meaningful role through the day in moderating sessions and obviously taking us through an exciting day. I was asked to speak for a few minutes. A management consultant never says no. So you're going to get a few minutes of wisdom from me. I'm not going to throw any numbers because all the numbers are going to be coming from the more qualified panelists and moderators. So I'm going to operate at maybe one level above that from a strategic context, shall I say, right? So I think we'll just take it from there and then we'll move forward. So I guess the first thing is that, and I'm sure all of us recognize that we're in an industrial revolution 2.0, right? This is the good side of what COVID has done. There's obviously been a big bad side. And I especially feel like I can recognize this because when I was a young consultant in Chicago in the mid-80s, 1985 to be exact, the US telecom markets deregulated. And I know what wonders it did to US industry. And if you go back to the early 90s in India, with the launch of wireless, you saw the same impact. And we also know that without those two revolutions, digital couldn't exist today, right? Because at the end of the day, it's the telecom backbone that is making it happen. So I think we are at a very momentous part of history for our generations, and maybe the generation below me, to be part of what is truly a global revolution in the way we interact and the way we live and the way we transact, right? And it's the good thing about it is that it's not unique to one geography. In most revolutions, it's in one country, one place for a period of time, and then it maybe moves on. In this particular situation, it's across all countries, it's all across all industries, it's across all customer segments. I mean, my mother, who's 85, refuses to spend time with me because she has an online bridge game that she doesn't want to miss. And this is a person who I never thought could be digital ready, so to speak, right? So it's hit all demographic, psychographic segments, all income segments, low and high value transactions, and it's cross-border. So it really can't be better than this, right? And lastly, you can transact digitally, whether you deposit or you borrow, in various categories, right? But the moment people bank digitally and they trust telemedicine, in my view, the final psychological barriers have been crossed. So it's just, I think it's just a phenomenal place that we are in. We've obviously benefited from, as I said, the pandemic, the so-called silver lining to a very big cloud. So we're really, I think, at a new point of history, right? And it's not just a new point of history, it's also a tsunami, in my view, right? There's obviously a tsunami of transaction volumes, and you can see that in the numbers that are going to come today. It's a tsunami of players and promoters, some good, some bad. Obviously, we have the CEO of one of the firms today that has been in the press recently. It's a tsunami of money, valuations, term sheets are being thrown around like scrap paper in some respects. And it's obviously a tsunami of innovation. I mean, Rajesh will talk about today the innovation his firm is doing, but for all practical purposes, the level of innovation that is happening in this sector is mind-boggling, right? I mean, the other sector obviously is electric vehicles, which I never expected to actually get to where it is today as an auto industry, right? But this is leading, right? So, and then finally, I think the good news is that India is leading the world on this. And so, somehow as a country, we find either accidentally or by plan, our moments in history or in business. I think we did really well on the wireless side in the 90s. Both the telecom sector and the financial services sector is very, very dependent on having a great regulatory runway, because without the right regulatory runway, you really can't operate businesses, right? I'm hoping that the government learned some lessons from the mess that got created post facto on the wireless side. And I think they did, because for the most part, I think they've been fairly supportive. In fact, as we all know, a lot of the government welfare schemes are significantly dependent, and potentially the re-election of political parties is significantly dependent on the digital runways that they depend on, right? So I think all in all, it's really good, and I'm very pleased to be part of that, and I'm sure all of you are. I'm hoping that at the end of today, you all feel like you gained, you had a good experience. We are all from the IBSi team here to look after you and help, so please feel free to reach out to us. I'm very proud of IBSi. I don't want to use this forum to brag about it, but we are the leading pure play fintech research company. We've been around for 20 years. When I bought the company in 2015 in the UK, at that time, the fintech revolution was just starting. It was more the bank techs of the world, the Temenoses and the Oracles and the Infosys and so on and so forth. And I'm so pleased that, at least from our standpoint, our customer base has grown 5x, because all the baby fintechs have all become sort of big boys, right? And many continue to come, right? So we're happy to be part of this journey as a firm, yeah. I think with that introduction, I'm going to then move along and request Rajesh, who's the CEO of Kia. And it was interesting, when we were talking today, I asked him what was the background behind the rebranding and the name, and it was a very simple but interesting story, and I won't use it. Maybe it's part of Rajesh's speech today, but I'm happy to welcome Rajesh. Looking forward to hearing from you. Thank you. Sorry? Okay, come. Oh, it's Nikhil is next. Okay, sorry. We'll let Rajesh follow. Let's Nikhil Gokhale. Nikhil heads research at IBS Intelligence, and he's going to show some numbers, right? Okay, thanks.